The biggest mistake you make when buying your tools is usually not overpaying. It is buying something that feels cheap enough to justify, then keeps draining your wallet after you bring it home. First, it is the drill, then the battery, then the charger, then the spare pack you did not know you would need, until the first real job slows to a stop. A year later, the battery is weaker, and the whole setup already looks old. That is why smart buyers are starting to look backward instead of forward. Once a tool stops being a tool and becomes a system you have to keep feeding, the deal changes. And once you see that trap, the shiny new stuff stops looking smart. The cheap tool lie. A lot of people walk into a store thinking they are making a smart, practical purchase. That is why the tool aisle is designed the way it is. Bigger promises on the box, bigger batteries, more pieces packed into one kit. Before the tool even touches wood, metal, drywall, or concrete, the packaging is already trying to close the deal for it. And that is usually where the mistake begins. Not with some obvious scam, just with a purchase that feels reasonable. A guy sees a combo kit and thinks it makes sense. A few tools, a couple of batteries, a charger, a bag, and a price that feels easier to justify than one expensive professional-grade tool. On the surface, it looks like value, but a lot of those kits are built to feel exciting when you buy them, not dependable years later. Then real life shows up. The battery starts fading sooner than expected. A replacement pack costs more than it should. One tool stops working, but the rest of the kit is still sitting there taking up space, and that is usually what frustrates people later. Nobody complains that the old corded drill was not exciting enough. They complain that the newer setup let them down during a simple job. That is the point where the purchase stops feeling modern and starts feeling wasteful. And after that happens a few times, those older dusty tools stop looking outdated and start looking like the smarter, the battery-tacked, cordless convenience is real. But the market trained a lot of buyers to treat cordless as the default answer, even when the work does not require it. That changed the economics of ownership. Now the buyer is not just choosing a drill, grinder, or circular saw. He is choosing a platform. One brand sells continuity because it knows people hate getting stranded. Another sells adapters because older owners were too valuable to abandon completely. Even the brands understand the problem. Once a battery line becomes your anchor, every future purchase gets pulled toward compatibility. That is not just convenience, it is lock-in. And this is where regular people get burned. A contractor may burn through packs, replace them, and keep moving because the tools make him money. A homeowner may use a drill a few weekends a year, put it on a shelf, come back later, and find the battery has aged faster than the project list. So the body survives, but the system decays in silence. Meanwhile, the old corded tool, sitting in the corner, still turns on with no conversation, no battery health check, no second purchase. That is why smart buyers are not reacting out of nostalgia. They are reacting to a cost structure that makes convenience feel cheap up front and expensive later. Once you see that, the industry shift behind it becomes hard to miss. When the market changed. The real story is not that one country ruined tools and another one saved them. The real story is that the business changed its priorities, and you can feel those priorities in what gets sold now. Over time, shelf competition got fiercer, price tiers got more important, battery ecosystems became central, and manufacturing decisions leaned harder into cost, sourcing flexibility, and product family efficiency. Even major brands say openly that they source globally based on cost, quality, or availability. Their parent companies talk in annual reports about supply chain transformation, efficiency, and margin improvement, because that is how the modern tool business thinks. That does not mean everything new is bad. It means the incentives are different. Once a category becomes optimized for bundle appeal and ecosystem capture, the product stops competing only on how long it serves the owner. It also competes on how well it enters a shopping cart. That is why some modern tools feel surprisingly disposable even when the branding looks serious. There is also a reason older hand tools keep hanging around in garages and estate sale boxes with little drama attached to them. Heavy forged hand tools have been part of long trade fights for decades. And the United States International Trade Commission has kept protections in place tied to likely material injury if those orders were removed. That does not prove every imported hammer is bad. Under that pressure, somebody always gives something up. Usually the buyer finds out later. What old tools still get right. The loophole is not buy anything old. The loophole is knowing which categories age well. Older hand tools often age well. Older corded tools often age well. Older vices, clamps, metal boxes, and ugly shop gear often age well. They do not need to be pretty. They need to keep doing the job. Think about how different the ownership model is. A solid ratchet with honest wear is still a ratchet. A good hammer does not become obsolete because the packaging changed. A corded grinder from years ago may be heavier and less stylish, but if the switch works, the bearings are healthy, and the cord is sound, it can still outwork a lot of newer bargain options, because it is not carrying the battery tax. Even mainstream tool coverage still admits that some tools are simply better with a cord, because steady power and long runtime matter more than portability for certain jobs. Repairability changes the math too. The Federal Trade Commission has said repair restrictions can raise costs, increase wait times, and shorten useful product life. At the same time, major tool makers still maintain parts systems, drawings, and repair channels for many tools because serviceability still matters in this category. A tool that can be repaired has a different future from one that is basically a sealed decision. And there is a simple truth buried in all of this. A 20-year-old corded drill does not impress anybody. It removes a conversation. You plug it in. It runs. The project moves. That simplicity is easy to underestimate until you have wasted enough money on equipment that looked more advanced than it really was. But this is where smart buyers have to avoid getting romantic. The mistakes smart buyers avoid. Not every old tool is a steal. Some are just old problems wearing a better story. This topic gets dumb very quickly when people start pretending age itself is quality. It is not. Old cordless kits with dead proprietary batteries are usually not a loophole. They are yesterday's lock-in at a discount. Beat-up air compressors with questionable tanks are not charming. Missing guards are not character. Cracked handles, sloppy ratchets, burned windings, and bent chucks are not proof of toughness. They are proof that somebody else already got the good years. The smarter buyers think in categories first. They ask whether the tool gets stronger or weaker as a buy with age. Hand tools often get stronger as a buy because the function stays the same while the price falls. Corded tools can do the same when parts still exist, and the core mechanism is healthy. Safety gear usually does not. Precision electronics usually do not. Battery-dependent tools often do not, unless the platform is still alive, and the deal is truly one-sided. They also know the difference between honest wear and abuse. They want smooth action, tight mechanisms, straight jaws, healthy cords, clean commutators, available parts, and materials that still feel like somebody expected the tool to survive real work. They are not buying history, they are buying avoided replacement. And once you start thinking that way, the places where the best value hides become pretty obvious. Where the real value hides. The best buys are often sitting where retail psychology has the least control. Estate sales, pawn shops, local classifieds, repair shops clearing shelves, old metal boxes in a garage where the family prices the whole pile like clutter, because they do not realize which pieces still matter. That is where experienced buyers do well, because they are not paying showroom prices for ordinary function. They also understand something most casual buyers miss. A used professional-grade corded tool from years ago can be a better homeowner buy than a brand new mid-range cordless kit, simply because the homeowner does not need mobility as much as he needs a tool that will still work after months of sitting still. Retail tells you to shop for possibility. Smart owners shop for actual use. This is also where the so-called China loophole makes sense without turning stupid. It is not a passport test. It is a time window advantage. A lot of older tools come from a period before battery ecosystems dominated everything, before cost-down decisions got so visible, and before too many categories drifted toward semi-disposable ownership. That window includes tools made in different places by different companies under different standards. The point is not romantic nationalism. The point is that older, simpler, more repairable tools often escaped the exact business model that now squeezes buyers quietly. And the longer you sit with that idea, the less this feels like a tool story, and the more it starts to feel like an ownership story. What smart buyers are really doing is refusing to keep rebuying the same problem in nicer packaging. They are buying new when safety, warranty, or real cordless mobility truly matters. They are buying older when the category rewards simplicity, serviceability, and durable materials. They are ignoring aisle noise and paying attention to what still makes sense after the packaging is gone. That is why some of the sharpest buyers in this market keep walking past shiny kits and reaching for older steel. They are not trying to look tough. They are trying to stop paying the same hidden bill over and over. So if you have got an old tool that still embarrasses the new stuff, tell me what it is in the comments. Subscribe if you want practical buying advice without the sales pitch, and stick around, because a lot more everyday products are built on the exact same trap.